Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about the new Ram electric midsize pickup truck that was supposed to be coming out, how it's been delayed, and now Ford is saying that they're going to enter the EV midsize pickup market, but probably before Ram will, even though Ram's actually said this like years ago that they're going to be entering this market. So a lot of news has come out like in the last week and a half. I posted an article the other day on December 27th on Mopar Insiders about how Ford has said, hey, the next EV, full EV that we're building, mind you, they've really pushed back on their EVs. You've seen a delay in the next generation F-150 Lightning. They canceled a full-size 3-row SUV that was supposed to be game-changing because now they're focusing on hybrids. But they've pretty much, Jim Farley has come out and said that they're confirming and doubling down that they're going to build a mid-size electric pickup. Now, what's so interesting about that? We don't know if it's going to be a Ranger. We don't know if it's going to be like a totally different truck. We don't know. We have no idea. Ford was really being quiet about it. But the interesting thing is, he said it's going to be, the next big EV project that comes out of Dearborn. So if you look back, almost a year ago, over a year ago now, Stellantis and the UAW were renegotiating their contracts. Now, a lot has happened since then. Obviously, we've had major cuts. We've seen tons of, unfortunately, all their temporary staff has been, the UAW's been cut from Stellantis. I mean, we've just seen tons of chaos in the company. But when those agreements came out, the big changing thing was the fact that the UAW had talked into Stellantis about bringing back the Belvidere plant. Now, if you're not familiar with the Belvidere plant, it's located, about 45, 50 miles outside of Chicago. It's northwest of Chicago. And it's a mammoth plant in the little town of Belvidere. It actually, employed most of the town. It had been there for years. That plant has created some of the most iconic Mopars over the years. All your compact little Mopars that you've seen, from, the Omni and the Horizon, to basically we've seen, obviously the Caliber, the Neon, the Dodge Dart, the first generation Jeep Compass, Jeep Patriot. All these small compact, unibody cars came out of there. And then we've seen other Mopars as well, and dating back to almost the 50s. So that plant has a huge history, and the last product to be built there was the Jeep Cherokee KL. Now, the Jeep Cherokee KL, I don't want to get sidetracked on it, had a lot of issues with it, meaning that when Jeep introduced the current generation Jeep Compass, roughly the Compass was smaller in size, but interior volume was pretty close to the Cherokee, and it kind of cannibalized that vehicle's sales. If you look, it's funny, when that vehicle launched, it had polarizing exterior, styling and stuff that people either loved or hated, and sales were actually really good because it was in a really popular D segment portion of the market for SUVs, which is really competitive. The only thing was, when Jeep went back to the drawing board and actually toned that vehicle down, which people thought, hey, we're going to actually build and sell more of these things because we're listening to what the people want, sales dropped off because in 2017, 2 years prior to that refresh, we got the new Compass, which was a lot cheaper, and again, had roughly about the same amount of interior volume. So that vehicle kind of cannibalized the sales to the point where the Jeep Cherokee was kind of left as an afterthought. Now, we were supposed to get special edition models like the Desert Hawk model and stuff like that, but unfortunately that never came about. So, anyways, Jeep decided, hey, in 2023, early 2023, that it was done. They were going to cancel that vehicle and basically, not shut down the plant, but idle it is what they quote said. So there was a lot of talk about what's going to happen with this plant because, like I said, it employed a lot of the town. So when they went to the UAW to negotiate a contract, one of the big things that was released during these negotiations was that the Belvidere plant would come back bigger and better than ever. It would be building electric mid-sized pickups. That was the big thing, big news. The thing was it was going to have a battery plant built on the site. It was also going to have a Mopar mega hub. So basically what they were going to do is they were going to close several Mopar distribution centers, including the one that right by where I grew up in Marysville, Michigan, which actually has a huge history because that's the home of the original 426 Hemi. They were going to close those down and then shuffle all that to a new hub out in Belvidere. So this mega hub, so basically close down like 4 or 5 distribution centers and then move it all their work to one central hub. Unfortunately, this stuff, came about and everybody was gung-ho about it. And then early in 2024, all of a sudden things started changing. And we started hearing, hey, this new pickup's going to be delayed. And we're going to delay. They're not going to cancel the plans for this truck, but they're delaying them. And the weird part about the delay was they were pushing it back to 2028. Now, keep in mind, this truck wouldn't even been on the market until 2027, which is way late compared to most, if you look at Ford, Chevy, GMC, Nissan, Toyota, they all have mid-sized trucks. Jeep has a mid-sized truck, but it doesn't really compete with those trucks too much because it's a lifestyle truck that's a premium vehicle that, it doesn't have like the lineup that like the other trucks do. So that was a lot of like pressure on everybody at the UAW, and you've seen what happened. They were, constantly calling for strikes and all this other stuff because they wanted that plant back up and operating. But what it did was it moved the production possibly back to 2028 when the next negotiations for contracts were due at late 2027, and that's when they could have said, hey, we're not building this truck. So the UAW had a lot of complaints about all this stuff, and they were right about some of it, and Stellantis was saying, hey, the market's changing. Nobody wants EVs. What are we going to do? We got to figure something else out for this plant. So that's the big problem that we've had. So this truck is supposed to be unique to the North American market. This is going to be a true mid-size pickup. And in recent months, Christine Fuel, who was when Tim Kuniskis left, she took over Ram for a few months until he came back. She was at the LA Auto Show last month, and she actually told us some really interesting information. Now, the thing is, back in 2021, Ram or Stellantis, or whatever you want to say, had their EV Day presentation. And it was huge because they talked about, all their directions for electric vehicles. And what they showed was the Stella Large platform especially. A lot of the vehicles that were shown, on this like computerized design thing, of what the potential is for the Stella Large platform showed vehicles like the Recon, Wagoneer S, the Charger, and then they showed us a pickup truck, and it was really unique looking. It looked it had a different belt line than the trucks that we're used to. Obviously, it's a mid-sized truck because we could tell because it's a lot smaller than what the proportions are for a normal Ram 1500. But they talked about this mid-sized truck and how it could be, based on the Stella Large platform. So moving forward, we didn't hear anything about this truck after they said, hey, it's going to be delayed. They never really said nothing, but they teased us a lot of images of what, it could look like. Then, a few months ago, or actually last month, I was on the United States Patent Trademark Office website, because I like to go on there and kind of research stuff for the website. And I ran into this patent for a new, basically a multi-function hood system. And I talked about it on this channel. If you look at some of the patent drawings, they were the same patent drawings. Now, they show the Ram 1500 Rev from the front, but the side drawings were this new, Ram design. And while a lot of people think that it might be the Ram Revolution concept, it's totally different. It looks totally different than that. But these were weird because they showed up in this patent design as well as what Ram was teasing us. So it's good. It's probably a good thing that we kind of seen this because this is probably the design of the truck that they're going forward with. But what we didn't know that Christine Fuel elaborated on was, is it going to be a unibody truck? Is it going to be a body-on-frame vehicle? Is it going to be based on the Stella frame platform? Now, keep in mind, Belvidere has been set up for a unibody plant for a long, long time. So, it made sense if it was going to be a unibody based on the Stella Large platform. But what she told us was, she didn't really enlighten too much. She said the vehicle is coming. Ram is going to definitely build this midsize pickup. But they did pick an architecture, and she wouldn't say which one it was. So our guess is it's the Stella Large platform. So this is going to be a unibody-based pickup. A lot of people are thinking Honda Ridgeline stuff, but it should be a lot stiffer than a Ridgeline. It should have air suspension and stuff optional. It'll be very unique in its own category. But what she also said was that this truck is going to be designed specifically for the North American market, but it has the capability of being sold globally. So Ram, as you know, has really pushed itself outside the market. We recently seen the launch of the Ram 1500, basically the full lineup in Europe, where before they only had a couple models. The Ram's second biggest market isn't Canada, it's actually Brazil. And down there they have the Ram Rampage, which is about the size of a Ford Maverick, which they should have brought here. It's a killer truck. It's been winning tons of awards. But that's actually a small unibody truck, and it's shown that it's actually quite capable. It's based on the Jeep Compass architecture, and it can tackle pretty aggressive, off-road, different terrains and stuff, and it's pretty interesting. And then we look at Australia. Ram's been really big there. They just announced the discontinuation of the Hemi, which we talked about on this article there. And, they're very prominent there in New Zealand. We've also seen Ram expand to certain markets in Asia. And we've also seen Ram really big in the Middle East. So Ram is now becoming a global brand on its own. And that's the thing. With this truck, it'll be focused on the American market, but there's a lot of potential where it can go elsewhere because, again, the Rampage is smaller than what this truck will be. We've seen Ram actually import a Chinese-built truck that they badge as a Peugeot and a Fiat in other places to Mexico and the Middle East as the Ram 1200. So there's a lot of potential for this truck to grow globally as well. So this is definitely on Ram's radar. But the problem is we keep hearing that this truck is going to be pushed back till 2028. And with Ford now announcing, like, hey, we're going to be here, we're going to release our truck by 2028. Ford has the potential of not only getting their truck to the market first, but really like setting the groundwork for this EV midsize segment. And that's what's scary because we already have vehicles like the new Scout Terra. And that one's going to have a Harvester Edition model, which is going to have, basically a range extending model with a gas engine in it. We've seen, obviously, Rivian's had a lot of success with their truck. So this midsize pickup segment for EVs is booming right now. But, even with the pushback against EVs, Ram's going to be late to the game again if they don't get their stuff together. And that's the problem that I wanted to talk about this article was, Chrysler Group, the Chrysler Corporation, back in the, when it was Chrysler Corporation in the 90s and, all the way from the 20s to the 90s, were trendsetters. They were innovators. They were the ones coming to market with crazy things before anybody else and setting this new path of, how the auto market was going to go. Even if they were the, third-ranked Detroit automaker, they were the ones setting, the different, trends and stuff in the market. But for the last 25 years at least, they've been followers. They're always late to the game. Always late to the game. And we've seen, for example, that Ram Rampage could have been great here. We've seen it on the road here, testing, here in Michigan. I've shot photos of it. And so has my spy photographer friends. And it actually looks like a nice truck. And according to my other automotive journalist friends down in Brazil, they ranked the truck really high. So that truck would have been really good here if they would have priced it right, and it could compete against the Maverick, which the Maverick has been dominating in sales because people want cheap vehicles. The Maverick starts out at $24,000 and goes to $45,000. That would have been plenty of pickup for most people. And the funny thing is it actually fits in the garage of most garages. People want something that they can park in their garage that's affordable. So yeah, Ram's missing out on that. And they have a truck. They could have brought it here, and they didn't. Instead, we had the Ram 1500 Classic, which wasn't a bad truck, but it was stripped out for the last few model years. It was living on life support, and the reason why is they made it so it was cheap because people were buying them that didn't have credit and all this other stuff. They could go buy an affordable V8 full-size pickup. Well, now that that's gone, now they're starting to resort to things, but are they going to be too late to the game? Especially with Ford coming in, and Ford, how Ford is they're the leader in pickups. So I really wish Ram would focus. Maybe Tim Kuniskis is going to re-jump this program and stuff. What we know is, like I said, is what Christine Fuel said is this truck's going to have multiple powertrains. So we're probably going to have an internal combustion engine, probably like a Hurricane 4 engine. We know that they're working on a new Hurricane Evo motor that's going to debut probably pretty soon. So that should have, probably around 300 horsepower, which will put it right on par with the other mid-sized trucks that are out there. It will probably have, obviously, it'll have a battery electric version. And maybe, just maybe, we'll see a range extending model, which would be killer for the segment, because if Scout can do it, I'm sure Ram can do it. So that would probably be game changing in that segment if Ram could be competitive with a small displacement generator on board and basically make a truck that had, over 700 miles of range, given that the Ram Charger can do 690. So just keep that in mind. There's a lot of potential ability with this midsize truck, and people have been dying for a midsize Ram. Ever since the end of the Dakota. People have been begging since 2011 that, please build a midsize pickup, and they just haven't. So they just got to be worried about two things. One is the fact that they get it to the market super late, where it's not really competitive, and everybody else is already, getting sales. Or that they make it too expensive, which has been the problem with Stellantis vehicles, and that they overprice it like they did the original Dakota, where it competed against the Ram 1500, and the Ram 1500 kind of cannibalized it because it was a better deal. So those are the big things that they got to worry about, but they really need to get this truck to market. You can go on Mopar Insiders and read my whole article about it. I just kind of summed it up for you, but it's very interesting, and I'll tell you what. Here's a couple comments I'll give you, just so you guys kind of know of what we're looking at. Okay, so in a recent interview, basically Christine Fuels said that it will be brought to market. She added that the vehicle will feature multiple powertrains and be positioned for both North America and global audiences. Fuel declined to provide specific details or a timeline, and hinted that the platform choice would be a surprise to many, meaning that it will probably be still a large vehicle. She said, "We will learn more details in 2025, leaving the door open for Ford to reach the market first." So what Ford came out and said, as Jim Fairley said, is that their version of the midsize EV pickup will be a game changer. And that he goes, "We're investing in what matters the most to our customers, vehicles that are smarter, more capable, and sustainable." So we're going to see. It's going to be very interesting. If Ram can beat them to the market, they might have a chance to take and really dominate the segment. But if they continue to follow and play it safe, this truck is pretty much doomed. They have to take and start setting trends again. They have to push boundaries. They have to set trends. So with Tim Kuniskis in there, I'm sure they're working on it. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of different things going on with this truck. I'm sure this is going to be one of his baby projects, considering that he's been working on it for a while now. But I don't know. We'll see. So keep that in mind. Hopefully they get Belvidere up, get those people back in their jobs. A lot of people were transferred, a lot of people were laid off, and that town is really in desperate need of jobs. So hopefully things will change going into 2025, and hopefully we'll hear more about this midsize truck. So stay tuned to Mopar Insiders. Stay tuned to this channel. Sorry for rambling, but this is a big deal. This new midsize truck. This is going to be a big project for Ram. It's going to be a big project for the Chrysler Group. So hopefully you hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.